Peabo Bryson has died. His family announced his death in a press release this evening.
Two-time Grammy winner grew up in Greenville. Bryson was under medical care after suffering a stroke.
When the music world lost Peabo Bryson, it felt like a part of the soundtrack of life suddenly went silent. His voice had been the backdrop to weddings, heartbreaks, and unforgettable moments spanning decades. More than just a singer, he was a constant companion to millions. But amidst the grief and tributes, the most powerful moment came unexpectedly in the form of a son's tribute, a deeply personal farewell that revealed the man behind the legend. What he shared transformed sorrow into a celebration of love, family, and the true meaning of legacy. The son's untold tribute. In the midst of a gathering filled with grief and remembrance, an unexpected moment transformed a day of sorrow into one of profound connection. As family, friends, and fans gathered to honor Peabo Bryson's life, nobody anticipated that the most moving tribute would come from his son, a voice that had been quiet until that moment. This heartfelt speech was not part of the official program, yet it quickly became the emotional centerpiece of the farewell. The room, heavy with loss, suddenly held its breath, waiting for a personal story that everyone longed to hear. Who was this man stepping forward? A son who saw beyond the public persona, who knew the father behind the music. His words carried the weight of private moments, of everyday love shared between father and child. Instead of recounting accomplishments or stage highlights, he revealed the heart of Peabo Bryson, simple, devoted, and deeply human. With every sentence, he invited those present into a side of his father rarely seen by the world. There was a quiet strength in his voice, trembling with emotion yet resolute in its purpose. He spoke not as a celebrity's child, but as a boy who had learned invaluable lessons on courage and kindness from the man he called Dad. Throughout his tribute, memories surfaced that transcended fame, memories that felt like whispers of comfort to anyone struggling with loss. His stories didn't just fill the room, they filled hearts, linking all who listened through shared feelings of love and remembrance. This speech was a gift, a glimpse behind the curtain of public success into a deeply personal relationship. It was a reminder that the man who owned one of the most remarkable voices in music was first and foremost a father. And in that revelation was a powerful balm for the grieving crowd. The son's words were not only a farewell, but a bridge, connecting legacy to love and transforming absence into something enduring. While the public saw a legendary artist on stage, the son painted a picture of a man who was always present at home, a man who taught lessons no Grammy could capture. His reflections hinted at struggles and sacrifices unknown to many, moments where his father chose family above all else. This was more than a tribute, it was a heartfelt confession that helped shape how Peabo Bryson would be remembered forever. Yet, much of the story still waited to unfold. As the son paused between his stories, the silence in the room spoke volumes. Faces previously hardened by sadness softened into expressions of understanding. His narrative offered not just a look back, but also an unexpected reassurance that love endures beyond loss. Those gathered knew that this farewell was different. It was a healing moment that would linger long after the last note had faded. People leaned in closer, captivated by the tender honesty that broke through the usual strain of public mourning. His tribute was a mirror, reflecting both grief and gratitude, a balance so delicate it stole the breath of everyone present. This moment would be remembered as the true heart of the ceremony, a son's final gift to his father. The mystery of what he might say kept everyone silent and hanging on every word. Despite the weight of sorrow around him, the son's courage to speak openly about his father's love and lessons shattered the heaviness with warmth. It revealed a side of Peabo Bryson that fans and colleagues had long admired but rarely got to witness fully. His voice, though shaky at times, carried a timeless message that needed to be heard by the world. And as he finished, the room held a collective sense of gratitude, already feeling the power of his tribute before the full story was told. This introduction to Peabo Bryson's son's tribute set the stage for a deeper understanding of a man whose life was much more than the spotlight suggested. It was an invitation to look beyond the fame and explore the origins of a voice that had touched so many, beginning with the boy who first heard it at home. The journey back to those beginnings would soon reveal the foundation of a legacy built on love and perseverance. The warmth and strength that defined Peabo Bryson had humble beginnings rooted in childhood, where music was more than just sound. It was a language of the soul. Early life and musical gift. Peabo Bryson's story sort of started, not on the big, grand stages everyone imagines, but in those quiet moments when he was still young. Like a kid, discovering that his own voice could do more than he thought. From early on, he realized that singing carried emotions that certain words just couldn't fully hold. And somehow, it was music that helped him connect to what was around him, laying down that groundwork for the journey that would come later. His family noticed something quickly too. A little spark, not only about sound, but about the feeling behind it. As he grew up, music wasn't just something to fill time. It became Bryson's real purpose. While other kids might have been running off to play games or chase sports, he spent long hours polishing his vocal skills and taking in lessons from people who truly inspired him. Determination showed up again and again in those early years, even when obstacles tried to tug him away. For young Peabo, sound felt like a calling, the kind that asks for focus and keeps insisting on devotion, even when life gets complicated. The path was far from easy. Success didn't come overnight, and the whole industry seemed slow to embrace that odd little unique gift of his. He kept running into rejection, and this constant uncertainty, those kinds of moments that really test the resolve of anyone chasing a dream. Still, Bryson refused to let doubt kind of label him. His persistence, honing the craft in those quiet minutes before the spotlight finally showed up, somehow built both his skill and character. When his voice finally broke through, it carried something special. Not just warmth, but real depth, plus a kind of soulfulness the audiences felt right away. It was a voice that connected generations, a rare mix of strength and gentleness. This gift went past genres, and it ignored geographical lines too, inviting listeners into an emotional place few people can even reach. From small local stages to larger opportunities, his presence just kept growing steadily. The young boy who sang to express himself had turned into a man whose voice spoke for millions. Behind every note, there was a story of resilience and passion, a lifelong commitment to shaping something that lasts. Friends and family often remember how music seemed to be etched straight into his being, like a single thread weaving through every chapter of his life. It wasn't only talent, it was an unshakable belief in the meaning behind each song. This early foundation helped Peabo Bryson not only survive, but thrive in a demanding industry. His music was authentic because it came from real feeling, capturing joy and pain alike in a way that didn't feel staged. Before fame, before Grammy Awards, and those sold-out shows, it was his ability to connect deeply through a song that really set him apart. What started as a private gift soon became a public treasure, kind of quietly, first then all at once. The quiet moments of practice and perseverance made his later achievements even more meaningful somehow. They grounded Bryson, giving him that perspective that success is a journey, not just a destination. That viewpoint stayed with him, shaping how he approached music and life long after his voice filled arenas. It felt like a reminder that greatness often grows in silence, first before it finally shines under the spotlight. No rush. As his early story kept unfolding, it became clear that Peabo Bryson's legacy was rooted in more than just talent. It was a story of dedication, humility, and belief in the power of music to heal and unite. His beginnings were proof that true artistry needs patience and heart, and those qualities would then carry him to a level of success that few people could imagine, even in their wildest thoughts. The breakthrough that followed was not just a rise in charts, but the unveiling of a voice that would come to define a generation. Career, breakthrough, and success. Peabo Bryson's ascent in the music world was marked by a steady accumulation of hits that showcased the unique qualities of his voice, power filled with tenderness and emotion laced with strength. It wasn't long before record labels and industry insiders took notice of an artist whose sound resonated deeply with listeners worldwide. His breakthrough came as a natural result of years refining his craft and the authenticity that defined his music. Songs after song climbed the charts, each one adding to his growing reputation as a leading voice in R&B and soul music. His performances were unforgettable, not because they dazzled with flashiness, but because they conveyed genuine emotion that touched hearts. Peabo's ability to blend smooth vocals with lyrics that told stories of love and life set him apart in a crowded field of artists chasing fame. Awards and recognition followed, including multiple Grammy wins that cemented his place among music's elite.
Grammy-winning singer Peabo Bryson was best known for Disney duets including Beauty and the Beast with Celine Dion and A Whole New World with Regina Belle.
Yet, despite the growing spotlight, he never became distant or aloof. His humility shone through in the way he treated others, from fellow musicians to fans, laying the groundwork for admiration beyond just his vocal talent. The public saw a star, but those close to him knew a man grounded by kindness. Bryson's music crossed cultural and generational boundaries, turning him into a unifying force within the industry. Collaborations with other icons and timeless ballads ensured his songs would be unforgettable fixtures on personal playlists and public airwaves alike. Each new release reinforced his status as an artist whose voice was not only powerful but deeply relatable. Behind the scenes, he remained dedicated to his art, constantly pushing himself to evolve while staying true to the soulful roots that made him special. His journey was a careful balance between commercial success and personal authenticity, a difficult line many artists struggle to walk. Yet Bryson managed to do both with grace and depth, earning respect from peers and fans around the globe. It was this blend of talent and character that defined his era, a time when music was more than entertainment. It was a shared emotional experience. His songs accompanied weddings, anniversaries, moments of joy, and times of hardship, becoming part of life's most memorable chapters. In every note and lyric, listeners found a piece of themselves reflected back. Despite the glamour and accolades, Peabo Bryson remained remarkably grounded. Stories from those who knew him well describe a man who valued respect and humility far above fame. He remembered names, made time for fans, and stayed connected to his roots. This approach not only endeared him to many, but it ensured his legacy would be remembered with warmth and admiration. Bryson's rise was not just a tale of hitting the right notes, but a portrait of perseverance, kindness, and staying true to oneself. His success was a testament to a voice that could move souls and a heart that never forgot where it came from. This chapter of his life set the stage for the deeper appreciation and love expressed by those closest to him, including his son. Though the spotlight celebrated his achievements, it was the man behind the music, his character and values, that truly illuminated his legacy. Humility and character. Even while Peabo Bryson climbed to the pinnacle of musical success, he just didn't let fame fully take the steering wheel. People who met him face to face or worked around him tended to describe a kind of humility that really stuck, even when his star was burning bright. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone seemed to mention how he remained respectful and genuinely warm. And it's that sincerity, day after day, that made his real-life connections feel more solid. Not like those usual celebrity moments where everything is kind of scripted. You could spot his modesty in all the smaller everyday scenes too. He would remember names, speak with fans patiently, and make folks feel noticed in the best kind of way. Whether he was backstage after a show or in some quiet back-and-forth talk, he kept offering that same kindness. It didn't matter if the person was another major music figure or just a stranger standing there. Over time, those gestures seemed to spread outward like a ripple, nudging other people in the music world to follow along with generosity and grace. A lot of folks also said Peabo was genuinely giving, not only with his time, but with his spirit as well. He had this steady habit of helping others quietly, sometimes offering encouragement to young musicians who were still searching for their own sound, their own style, their voice. Later, stories from his funeral came up again and again about that same trait, as if they kept proving the point. His kindness was strong, every bit as strong as his voice. And those acts of giving weren't meant for the spotlight. They came from something deeper, a real compassion running underneath everything. Even amidst the pressures of a demanding career, Bryson carried himself with dignity and real respect. Unlike many in the entertainment industry who maybe get consumed by success, he stayed humble and somehow accessible. Colleagues often said that he never let the pull of the spotlight change what he was really like underneath it all. That authenticity became one of the reasons he was so deeply loved by both fans and peers. His grounded nature was tied up with his roots and the values instilled in him from early on. Integrity, respect, and perseverance were not just words either, but sort of guiding principles he actually lived by. He understood that success is fleeting, yes, but character lasts. That view shaped his choices across his career and life, helping him move through fame without losing sight of what mattered most in the first place. Behind the scenes, those who worked with him often described a man who carried himself with grace, plus a quiet strength that didn't need to be loud. He showed this uncommon blend of professionalism and heartfelt generosity. Fellow artists who shared the stage with him would talk about his role as a mentor and how he helped others up without hesitation. That whole spirit of teamwork and regard only further cemented his legacy within the music world, too. Bryson's humility showed up in a way that was kinda quiet, too, like when he talked about what he'd done. He didn't really boast, and he seldom tried to grab attention. Instead, he kept returning to that shared joy music gave other people. It felt like a small lesson, but a real one, that the true kind of greatness comes with humility and with a generous heart, too. Those same qualities helped close the distance between a global superstar and the everyday folks who loved him, not only for the sound, but for who he was as a man. And even while his career kept growing across different countries, he still had this down-to-earth feeling about him that seemed to match all generations. In interviews and in little personal stories, people kept noticing how easy he was to reach, how kind he acted, how normal he could seem. In a world that's so often powered by ego and comparison, Peabo Bryson really stood out for choosing kindness and respect instead. His character became a core piece of what he leaves behind, just as much as his Grammy Awards and all those hit songs. And the people mourning him, they weren't just remembering the hits, they were celebrating the man who never forgot who he was, which is a reminder that how we treat others is the lasting measure of a life that truly matters. While humility defined his character, it was his devotion to family that revealed even more about the man behind the music. Family devotion. Away from the glare of the spotlight, Peabo Bryson found his greatest joy in the role of husband and father. His family was the cornerstone of his life, often in quiet moments away from fans and stage lights. Those closest to him recalled how his face would light up when speaking of his loved ones, his priority always rooted in nurturing these relationships. He treasured being present whenever he could, balancing the demands of an international career with his home life. Despite a hectic schedule filled with touring and recording, Bryson worked tirelessly to remain actively engaged with his children. He made time for simple, meaningful moments, dinners around the table, bedtime conversations, and listening with unwavering attention. His family often shared stories of these private glimpses into his world, memories that rarely made it into public view, but spoke volumes about his character as a father. Bryson's devotion extended to being a protective and supportive husband. His commitment to his marriage was evident in the way he prioritized his partner and the family unit. Through the years, those close to him observed a relationship founded on mutual love, respect, and understanding. It was the quieter side of a man celebrated for his voice, but most fulfilled by his family. He used family life as a way to instill values far beyond music. Integrity, humility, perseverance, these were lessons he emphasized consistently. He taught his children not only how to be talented artists or successful individuals, but how to be grounded, compassionate human beings. These teachings revealed a deeper legacy he wanted to leave behind, one of character and heart. Bryson's family memories included stories of laughter, comfort, and encouragement that defined his role at home. Whether it was sitting beside a sick child or checking in after a long day, he was present both physically and emotionally. These moments, though private, became the foundation of the son's moving tribute years later, stories of love and care that outshined fame. Even with the pressures of celebrity life, Bryson never let distance or exhaustion create barriers with those he loved. He carried the responsibility of fatherhood with pride and dedication, often making sacrifices to be there when it mattered most. His family saw in him a source of strength and guidance, someone whose greatest success was the happiness of his children. His role wasn't limited to father and husband. He was also a mentor and teacher, guiding loved ones through life's challenges with wisdom and patience. The lessons he passed on were lifelong gifts, quietly shaping the people who loved him most. It was through these private interactions that his true legacy began to take shape. Peabo Bryson's emotional connection to family brought a richness to his life that outshone even his greatest moments on stage. Private moments and life lessons. Beyond the bright lights and those sold-out shows, along with chart-topping songs, Peabo Bryson's life was also kind of defined by those quiet moments with the people he loved most. Family members would often mention simple dinners, private conversations, and small acts of care that never became headlines, but still showed who he really was. In a way, it felt like those little scenes revealed a person who thought success was not just about fame, it was also about love and the kind of connection you build with other people. Bryson also taught lessons that went further than music alone. He kept stressing integrity, respect, humility, and perseverance, not only with what he said, but also with how he lived each day. Friends and family talked about how he nudged them to stay grounded, treat folks kindly, and handle hard times with courage. That kind of wisdom then became a real compass for the people closest to him, shaping how they lived long after the applause had died down. Generosity was also kinda central to who he was. Like whether he was helping a struggling friend or encouraging a young musician, Bryson gave out of habit, without really expecting attention or praise. People who got to know that side of him said it felt less like performance and more like a man who found real joy in lifting others up. And his humility made that generosity even more meaningful because it came from something sincere, not from needing recognition. His family shared memories of Bryson taking a moment to sit down and listen, offering advice when things were difficult, and staying fully present even when career demands kept coming. Those times showed a gentle mentor and a devoted father. His love was steady and practical. You know, the kind that doesn't vanish when the days get loud. Behind closed doors, he mixed affection with guidance, giving his loved ones strength when they needed it most. One of the most powerful lessons Bryson shared was about courage. Like, honestly, he taught that bravery was not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep going ahead despite it, even when everything feels a bit heavy. This message had deep meaning for his children and loved ones. It just reminded them that strength shows up in those quiet, determined moments, the ones nobody claps for. His influence also moved through friends, collaborators, and younger artists who looked to him for guidance. His mentorship sort of came naturally, because he valued people as much as music. And when he offered encouragement, advice, or comfort, his presence gave others that steadier kind of confidence and hope. You know, even as the private lessons continued to inspire, the world grappled with the loss of a voice that had been a constant presence for so many. Impact of his passing. The news of Peabo Bryson's passing sent shockwaves through the music world, leaving fans, friends, and fellow artists heartbroken.
We have learned that two-time Grammy-winning singer and songwriter Peabo Bryson has died.
His family announcing his passing tonight. They say Bryson died peacefully.
Across social media, tributes poured in as people shared memories, favorite songs, and personal stories connected to his timeless voice. His music had been part of weddings, anniversaries, family moments, and private memories, making the loss feel deeply personal to people across generations. For those who knew him, the grief was even more intense. Fellow musicians remembered not only his talent, but also his kindness, humility, and generosity. Their tributes revealed the man behind the legendary voice, a friend, mentor, and collaborator who treated others with warmth and respect. His passing reminded many that his impact reached far beyond awards and performances. In the days before the funeral, fans gathered with flowers, albums, and quiet tears, honoring a singer who had touched their lives in meaningful ways. Inside the funeral hall, the atmosphere was filled with solemn beauty. Soft lighting, photographs, and flowers surrounded the space, creating a setting that felt both sorrowful and celebratory. Family, friends, and artists who had shared stages and studios with Bryson came together to remember his life. Their presence reflected the strong community he had built through decades of music, friendship, and respect. Speakers shared stories of his compassion, his quiet sacrifices, and the warmth he gave to those around him. Between each tribute, the silence carried the weight of their grief. Music became one of the most emotional parts of the ceremony. Familiar songs filled the room, now carrying a deeper sadness and meaning. Each note reminded everyone of the moments his voice had helped shape, turning the service into both a farewell and a celebration of his gift. Though his achievements were undeniable, the ceremony made clear that Bryson's legacy was not defined by fame alone. It lived in the people he loved, the lives he touched, and the memories he left behind. His passing marked the end of an era, but his influence would continue through his music, his family, and the countless hearts he reached. His voice may be silent, but its echo will endure for generations. The farewell was heartbreaking, yet within it lay the seeds of an enduring legacy, defined not just by song, but by the love he left behind. Legacy defined by love. Peabo Bryson's son, Tribute, kind of wrapped up with a message that redefined how his family and fans would remember the legendary singer. In a trembling voice, he looked back and recalled this private chat about legacy. Peabo had once said, "Legacy wasn't the music folks remembered, but the love that a person leaves behind." Those words, they just sat in the room and turned everything quiet, but also strong. It kind of revealed the deepest truth about Bryson's life. Even if his voice reached millions and the song stayed timeless, his real legacy was really in his kindness, generosity, and devotion to the people he held close. His son reminded everyone that behind the melodies there was a father, a husband, and a friend who gave his whole self to others. He spoke of those late nights, kinda offering comfort, and a quiet sort of sacrifice made for family. Plus the lessons in humility that were passed on through small everyday acts. In the end, those memories turned the idea of a public icon into this real portrait of a man whose heart was his biggest gift. No exaggeration. Tears came when his son admitted there were still words left unsaid, like somehow time had skipped a few steps. That honesty reminded everyone how fragile time can be, and that it matters a lot to speak affection while we still have the chance. While we can. By the end, the tribute wasn't just a goodbye. It became a lesson about what truly counts, what holds. The world might remember Peabo Bryson for that unforgettable voice, the songs, and the awards, but his family will keep remembering the love he gave. And that love, way more than fame, will keep inspiring generations. Thank you for joining us to honor Peabo Bryson's extraordinary life and legacy. His story reminds us that while talent can inspire, love endures beyond all else. If his journey moved you, please like this video and subscribe for more heartfelt stories that celebrate remarkable lives. Your support helps keep these legacies alive.